Before we get into any of this, a quick word about the channel. Because of repeated copyright claims hitting my content, I've started a Patreon where you can watch the full and censored cut of videos like this one. All the music, all the footage, every detail exactly the way it was meant to be seen. The same way this channel has always operated. The link is in the description. Now, listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to lay out might be the most disturbing coordinated takedown in modern music history. And almost nobody has connected the dots. Over the past 12 months, something deeply unnatural has been unfolding behind the curtain of the music business. One after another, people tied to the exact same side of a cultural movement have found themselves in the crosshairs. And the accusations? Nearly word for word identical. Every single time. It opened with Drake, the biggest recording artist alive, suddenly drowning in lawsuits tied to his partnership with the gambling giant Stake. Suits claiming the platform doubled as a laundering machine for streaming bots, a way to manufacture his own dominance out of thin air. Sit with how insane that timing is. Drake had just crawled out of what half the industry assumed would be his funeral. His own lawsuit against his own record label accused them of the very same crimes now being pinned on him. He literally called himself a corporate hit survivor on a recent record. The signals had been flashing for months. Drake understood his leverage, and he was reaching for something far bigger than another contract. Because once an artist sues the label that prints his checks, re-signing stops making any logical sense. Then came May 15th. 3 projects. One night. No warning. And if the insiders whispering behind closed doors are right, that drop was never about the music. It was a jailbreak. It turned the most valuable artist on earth into a free agent, a man holding more power outside the machine than anyone still trapped inside it. And that is when people started getting nervous. Because if Drake steps fully outside the 3 majors, the whole building shakes. One industry voice put it bluntly. Depending on what he does next, if Drake makes his move outside the major label system, it is absolutely a problem. For everybody. Next in line was Akademiks. Arguably the loudest independent media voice in the entire genre, and one of Drake's most visible public supporters. Out of nowhere, Akademiks found himself chained to a legal table, sitting through depositions that dragged on for hours, fielding questions that had nothing to do with the case he was supposedly there for. Are you blindly loyal to Drake? Did you ever leak exclusive information from someone in Drake's camp? Just like Drake, Akademiks got swallowed by the same storm. Named in lawsuits orbiting Drake, while obviously machine-written articles started materializing online, attacking his credibility, his team, his livelihood. Then April 2026 arrived, and the mask slipped a little further. Akademiks posted a video dissecting Jay-Z's GQ interview. He was critical, sharp even, but it was commentary. The exact kind of speech the internet was built on. Within days, he says Roc Nation hammered him with roughly 10 copyright strikes across his platforms and every affiliated channel. Roc Nation is using illegal means, he said, filing DMCA claims, abusing it on YouTube. If you have an opinion about Jay-Z on any content he appears in, instead of acknowledging what it actually is, which is fair use, they file claims if you're not writing for him. And before anyone writes that off as one creator's paranoia, understand something. He is not the only one. Back in December 2024, YouTuber Trent Out Loud went on record saying 2 separate sources told him Roc Nation and Jay-Z maintain an entire team that does nothing but patrol the internet, watching creators, ready to fire off cease and desist letters the second anyone steps out of line. 2 people told me Roc Nation and Jay-Z have a whole team scouring the internet, he said, making sure content creators are not stepping out of line. And they will send cease and desist letters with the quickness. Multiple users on X have publicly posted takedown notices they say trace back to Roc Nation and their law firm, Reed Smith. A creator named BJ Investigates lived through the same nightmare. I published the video to my channel, he explained, and the video promptly got removed from YouTube. Somebody purporting to be from a law firm called Reed Smith issued a copyright takedown demand. The video was completely gone. A strike on my channel. I had to appeal. The appeal worked, because it was obviously fair use. Hold on to that law firm's name. Reed Smith. It is going to follow us through this entire story like a shadow. Then the story took a turn from aggressive to genuinely sinister. Someone in Akademiks' orbit reportedly became the target of a private investigation. Information harvested. Photographs taken. Funneled toward mainstream outlets. Speaking of wire transfers, a caller told him on stream, I hear there's a Rayall investigation going on in Australia into you and your boy George. His response was instant. Where are you getting this information? And this is the moment the whole board lights up. Because that's when Larry Jackson walks into the frame. Larry Jackson is not some peripheral executive with a loose Drake connection. He is one of the architects of the streaming era, a longtime collaborator who helped engineer some of the defining moments of Drake's career, a man who helped drag the entire music business into the digital age. And while Drake was fighting for his name and his independence, Larry was quietly constructing something that threatens the foundation of the industry itself. 6%, he said in a recent interview. 6% of new upcoming artists now want to sign to a major label. And I was like, oh, this is a shift. Larry's company, Scamma, was built on one radical premise. Artists should hold the ownership, the control, and the power, not the system feeding off them. And if you've been watching Drake closely, the records, the symbolism, the visuals, he's been broadcasting the same gospel for a while now. I won't get ahead of myself, but the rumors tying Drake, Larry Jackson, and Scamma together have been circulating for months, and Drake has done nothing to quiet them. On May 15th, he effectively doubled down, threading Scamma-affiliated artists all through his releases. He featured Lo Shimi. He featured Sexy Red, both Scamma artists. Molly Santana isn't over there yet, but mark this down as a prediction. She will be. Then came the tell. Within 48 hours of a streamer cracking open Drake's ice sculpture on a live broadcast and revealing the release date for his album Iceman, Larry Jackson and Scamma got hit. The weapon this time wasn't a lawsuit. It was two anonymous websites, LarryJacksonExposed.com and GammaExposed.com, accusing Larry of fraud, fabricated streams, artificial growth propped up by bot networks. The exact same accusations. And study the delivery mechanism, because it appears to be the signature. These weren't articles in any real publication. They were faceless, AI-generated hit pieces branding him Larry Scamson and Scamma. And they didn't spread organically. Hundreds of sock puppet accounts on X, a literal bot network, blasted the links out simultaneously. Larry is now suing to unmask whoever built them. So freeze the frame for a second. The people being accused of deploying bots to fake streams are being attacked by actual bot networks pushing machine-written smears through phantom websites. The entire campaign runs on the very thing it claims to expose. Let that sink in. And if you think the timing of all this is random, stay with me, because the calendar is where this stops being gossip and starts being evidence. April 17th, Drake's attorneys file their final brief in his appeal against UMG, pushing the defamation case forward. 4 days later, April 21st, a streamer pulls the book out of Drake's ice sculpture live on air, and the Iceman release date hits the internet. For the next 24 hours, the internet belonged to Drake. He was everywhere. Every feed, every timeline, every headline. 2 days after that, April 23rd, Larry Jackson and Scamma get torched by anonymous websites. Fraud. Bots. Streaming manipulation. 1 day later, April 24th, a brand new lawsuit against Drake and Stake is announced. But no journalist broke this story. It arrived as a press release authored by the lawyers themselves, pumped through a paid wire service called PR Newswire, so the entire world would see it. Remember that name. PR Newswire comes back. Ask yourself why a tiny boutique law firm out of Virginia wanted a botting lawsuit against Drake blasted to every corner of the planet at the precise peak of his album rollout. A filing, a reveal, an attack, a lawsuit. Stacked back to back to back. All carrying the same accusations, all circling one man and everyone connected to him. That window is so tight you couldn't fit a piece of paper between the events. So it's time to ask the questions out loud. Was this really coincidence? Were these isolated fires? Or is there a hand connecting them? And if there is, whose hand is it, and what do they want? Let's step back and look at the entire board. Drake, Adin Ross, the massive streamer who broadcasts alongside Drake and moves the same audience. Akademiks. And around them, Larry Jackson and Scamma. On paper, these are wildly different people. But look at what they actually represent. Every single one of them is either fully outside the old system, actively at war with it, or an existential threat to it. Not one of them can be controlled by a phone call from a boardroom. Drake has never hidden his contempt for the industry's machinery, and by all appearances, he is now a free man. Akademiks constructed a media empire where no executive can end his career with one conversation. Adin Ross answers to his audience and nobody else. And Larry Jackson literally built Scamma as a machine for handing power back to the artist. Control is draining out of the old system in real time. You can watch it melting. And an entire generation of new artists sees it happening. So ask yourself, who spent 3 decades building power inside that old system? Who is embedded at the deepest possible levels of the music business? Who holds enormous financial interests in the gambling world? Who has been firing lawsuits and copyright claims at creators? And who has been quietly feuding with nearly every name we just listed? One voice close to that camp said it plainly. We've played enough defense. 2026 is all offense. Let me be absolutely clear before we go any further. What follows is a theory, but it did not materialize from thin air. Akademiks recently revealed on stream that he spoke directly with Larry Jackson, the man now suing those anonymous AI websites to expose their authors. And Larry did not call randomly. It's one of the most powerful people in the music business, Akademiks said. This person called me and said, I had to reach out and tell you you're not crazy. I'm going through the same thing, but I'm dealing with it legally. He said, if you ever need legal help, if you ever need whatever, I'm here to back you up. Then he said, didn't you see some stuff pop up about me? When you exposed it, they came at you with an AI article. They made a whole AI website about me. Two men. The same pattern. The same window of time. Both smeared by faceless, machine-written websites carrying mirror image accusations. And if you follow Akademiks, you already know which direction his suspicion points. Roc Nation, Jay-Z, he said flatly. Their reputation is dirt. Both men appear to be aiming at the same address. Jay-Z and Roc Nation. Which raises the only question that actually matters. Why would Jay-Z have any motive to move against Drake, Larry Jackson, or anyone in their orbit? What could he possibly have to gain? To find the motive, you have to examine what Jay-Z is building right now. And more importantly, what he is failing to build. Start with gambling, because Jay-Z is no spectator in that arena. He is an owner. In 2021, he and Roc Nation bought into Fanatics, and he took a vice chairman's seat at Fanatics Betting and Gaming. As his partner put it, Jay and I started this business together. In America, you cannot flip a switch and open a gambling operation. You need a license in every single state, one by one. That is the slow, brutal grind Jay-Z and Fanatics have endured for 4 years. Today, the Fanatics Sportsbook operates legally in 23 states. Respectable. But then they reached for something bigger. Online casinos. And that is a completely different animal with a completely different wall in front of it. Online casinos are legal in just 7 states. Fanatics is live in 4 of them. The real treasure is the other 46, and they want every single one. Then September 2025 delivered the gut punch. Roc Nation was part of a $5.4 billion bid to plant a casino in the middle of Times Square, complete with a Fanatics Sportsbook inside Jay-Z's own 4040 club. A city advisory board buried it. 4 votes to 2. Dead. The bid to create a casino in the middle of Times Square appears to be dead in the water, one report announced. They needed 4 of 6 votes to move forward. They got 2. A board member explained that they heard overwhelmingly from residents, from Manhattan Plaza to Midtown, from small businesses, over 1,000 emails and phone calls saying they did not want this to be the economic driver of the district. Now swing to the other side of the board. Stake. One of the largest online casinos on the planet. And Stake doesn't apply for licenses at all. Stake.com is an offshore crypto casino banned from operating in the United States, so the American operation runs through a loophole. You buy gold coins. You receive Stake cash. You redeem Stake cash for real money. They call it a sweepstakes, a promotion, not gambling. And because it's a promotion, it sidesteps state gambling law entirely. And Drake is not a small piece of stake. His deal was reported at a minimum of $100 million a year. To gamble on stream, bet on sports, and funnel players into the platform. Now here is the part that matters most, and this is not theory. This is documented fact. The licensed, regulated gambling industry has been openly campaigning to annihilate Stake's entire business model. The American Gaming Association has spent years arguing that sweepstakes casinos are illegal, lobbying regulators to bury them. They want Stake gone, erased, and they're not alone. Fanatics, Jay-Z's company, belongs to an organization called the Sports Betting Alliance, whose entire mission is twofold. 1. Legalize regulated online casinos across all 50 states. 2. Destroy unregulated sweepstakes operators like Stake. It is printed on their own website. Unregulated iGaming platforms like Stake evade U.S. gaming laws and safeguards that prevent minors from gaining access. Black and white. Jay-Z's company sits inside an alliance whose stated goal is the destruction of companies like Stake. That alliance even produced a full commercial called The Dangers of Unregulated Betting. And of every person on the planet they could have featured in it, they chose Drake. These unauthorized betting sites, the ad warrants, aren't bound to any of the normal marketing rules that prevent gaming advertising to minors. Now watch how and when Drake ends up in the crosshairs, because this part should make your skin crawl. Stake was being sued throughout 2025. Multiple states, multiple suits. And Drake's name never surfaced once. Not once. Then something changed. Watch the calendar. October 9th, 2025. Drake's lawsuit against UMG is thrown out. 18 days later, Drake is suddenly named in a Stake lawsuit in Missouri. 2 days after that, New Mexico. A few weeks later, Virginia. Then New Jersey. An entire year of Stake litigation without a whisper of Drake. Then one event. One humiliation in court, and he is in lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. Tell me in the comments right now, does that read as coincidence to you? Because I genuinely want to hear someone defend it. The two cases that matter most are Virginia and New Jersey, both filed by the same law firm. And those two go far beyond gambling. They claim Drake exploited a hidden tipping feature on stake to quietly pipe cryptocurrency to bot farms, fake accounts, and streaming machines to fabricate his own popularity. Stop and think about that claim for 1 second. These are gambling suits. The plaintiffs supposedly want their gambling losses back. Proving Drake's streaming numbers are artificial does not recover a single dollar for a single gambler. It is legally useless to the case's stated purpose. So why is it in there? Botting allegations mean nothing to a gambler, but they mean everything to the music industry. Forget, for a moment, who is pulling the strings. Ask a more basic question. How does a lawsuit like this even get born? A gambling case begins with someone who lost money. In Virginia, that's two women, alleged stake users, who found a lawyer. They walk in and say, I lost money on an illegal platform. I want it back. Simple. Clean. That's the whole case. So how did two ordinary women who lost money on a casino app arrive at a law office carrying elaborate theories about Drake's crypto tipping habits, specific streaming farms, specific bot vendors, and a mysterious figure named George moving money in the background? Where did that information come from? How did they get it? It does not add up. And it gets stranger. These lawsuits also accuse Drake, Akademiks, and George of weaponizing stake against music competitors and executives. Read that again. A gambling lawsuit, deeply concerned that music executives had their feelings hurt, that unnamed competitors were spoken about negatively. Who in the music business could that possibly refer to? The suits name no executives. So fill in the blanks yourself. Who have Akademiks and his circle actually criticized over the past 2 years? Only two camps ever come up. TD, the Kendrick side. Punch, Dave Free Doekiai, and Rock Nation, Jay-Z and Desiree Perez. Those are the only two. The only two. Now, I want to be careful here, so let me separate what I can prove from what I can't. I cannot tell you who manufactured these lawsuits, but I can show you the names that keep surfacing over and over across 2 years. And it starts with Akademiks. Go back to the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion trial. Akademiks was adamant he didn't believe Megan. He sided with Tory from day one. A smaller blogger named Milagro took a similar position and got sued by Megan for it. Akademiks was subpoenaed as a witness in the Milagro case. He sat across from Megan's lawyers, and he recorded it. Something about that deposition was deeply strange. Akademiks was there as a witness concerning Megan, Milagro, and Tory. Yet Drake, who has nothing to do with that case, nothing at all, kept coming up. You said you weren't happy about not being paid to promote Drake. They pressed, and that it was probably due to your blind loyalty. Are you blindly loyal to Drake? Did you ever leak exclusive information from someone in Drake's camp? What type of information have you leaked that you received from Drake's camp? They hammered away about Drake. And what else did they ask about? What is stake? Do you have any joint accounts through which you receive compensation for your work? How did you connect with the individuals at stake? Has Drake ever sent you cryptocurrency or digital assets for any reason? And they asked about George, Grand Wizard, the individual who runs the Grand Wizard chat account. Now, you could argue this is simply Megan's legal team and has nothing to do with Rock Nation. On paper, maybe. Except the legal team accidentally broadcast their own screen, their own internal chat, and sitting there for the whole world to read was one name. Desiree Perez, the CEO of Rock Nation. This is where I realized, Akademiks said, we got you. Y'all are liars. Tell Des. Think about what that means. Lawyers with a Rock Nation thread running through their own internal chat deposed Akademiks in a defamation case about a blogger and spent hours interrogating him about stake, Drake, and George. The exact 3 names that would soon sit dead center in 2 gambling lawsuits that did not exist yet. Has the person who runs the Grand Wizard account ever been associated with an account called OVO Grand? They asked. OVO is Drake's record label, right? Did he indicate whether he was communicating with the individual who runs the Grand Wizard chat account? That deposition happened in August 2025. The first lawsuit accusing Drake of routing crypto through stake to George for bot payments was not filed until December. Months before anyone filed anything, these questions were already being asked under oath. Read between the lines. Use your own judgment. Do whatever you need to do with that information. And honestly, I'm sitting here assembling this video, putting this whole thing together, and I have to say it plainly. This makes me sick. This is making me physically sick. Did Drake ever tell you whether he paid to help secure Grand Wizard's account? The Virginia case gets even stranger when you examine who is actually suing. Initially, it was 2 women, Tiffany Hines and Lashana Ridley. Their names are now public in a very public case against a very public figure, so I pulled their backgrounds. This is not their first time inside a courtroom. Lashana Ridley was convicted on a cocaine felony in 2015, and like so many people swallowed by the system, it did not end there. It became years trapped in the probation cycle. Violation after violation, living at the mercy of the court. That cycle finally broke in 2021 when she won early release. Hold on to that detail. The other original plaintiff, Tiffany Hines, carries the mirror image record. A 2018 cocaine felony that dragged her down the same probation spiral. Multiple violations, endlessly back and forth with a judge. I could not confirm whether her probation was ever fully lifted. Then 6 more plaintiffs joined, and most of them connect directly back to those first 2 women. Start with 63-year-old Regina Ridley, Lashana's blood relative. They shared an address for years. I confirmed it. Then there's another addition tied directly to Lashana, a man named Pretty Ray, carrying multiple felonies between 2007 and 2016. Records show he lived at the exact same address as Lashana, and as of 2026, they appear to still live together. I believe he is her partner. And now he's a plaintiff too. Pretty Ray also got early release from probation in 2021, within 2 days of Lashana. Keep going. Tiffany Hines brought a blood relative of her own, 55-year-old Stephanie Hines. The relation is clear. Then Takia Adams, same pattern of legal run-ins, including a recent identity theft conviction in 2024. As far as I can tell, she's still on probation. Then Ricola Lachey, through the court system repeatedly, 2 drug felonies, a probation violation in 2024. And remember, these are the people supposedly losing sleep over the authenticity of Drake's streaming numbers. It is apparently imperative to them that music executives not be spoken about negatively. They are devastated by it, I'm sure. So let's call this what it looks like. 2 plaintiffs share the surname Ridley. 2 more share Hines. In an 8-person class, half the names pair off. 2 of them, Lashana Ridley and Pretty Ray, have shared one Norfolk address for years. Not the same city, the same house. And all 8 come out of the same metro area, cycling through the same criminal courts. A class action is supposed to be open to anyone harmed by the defendant's conduct. The entire premise of a platform like Stake is that anyone, anywhere, with a phone can lose money on it. A genuine class should be scattered strangers from every corner of the country. Instead, you get shared surnames, blood relatives, a shared household, all packed into one small corner of one state. In my opinion, this is not a class of strangers who each stumbled onto the same app. These are people who know each other, filing together. Which raises the unavoidable question. If these plaintiffs were connected before the lawsuit, through family, through neighborhood, through the courts, then who gathered them? Who decided this specific group of people should sue Drake, armed with an elaborate theory about bot streams and crypto tipping? Sound off in the comments, because I want to know what you think. Does an 8-person class with shared last names and a shared address look organic to you? That brings us to the firm that filed it. The Virginia case is being handled by Impressa Legal Group, the same firm behind the New Jersey suit, which reads like a photocopy. Same theory, same firm. And when you look at the attorneys whose names sit on the filings, it gets interesting very fast. George Costello and Richard Kelsey of Impressa Legal Group. Costello owns the firm, and his history is the story. He is a former commercial litigation partner at a firm called Reed Smith. Hold that name. The firm's other owner, Jason Matchek, was also a Reed Smith partner. And Richard Kelsey, the other attorney on the case, worked at Reed Smith too. It is on his own Facebook page. It is on Impressa's own website, on their About page, proudly listing Reed Smith among the firms their attorneys hail from. Now, you might be thinking, lawyers move firms constantly. What is the big deal? And you'd be right, if Reed Smith were just any firm. Reed Smith is not just any firm. Reed Smith maintains a very specific, very documented relationship with Roc Nation and the woman who runs it. Desiree Perez, CEO of Roc Nation, one of the most powerful figures in the entire industry. Reed Smith is her personal law firm. Right now, in 2026, Reed Smith attorneys represent her personally in active litigation. That is confirmed in court records. And to understand why that matters, you need to know who Desiree Perez actually is. She has a documented history as Jay-Z's fixer, the person who makes problems disappear. In 1994, she was arrested in a major federal narcotics case, charged in a conspiracy to distribute drugs. She became a government informant, took a probation deal, and later served 9 months in prison in 1999 for violating it. Desiree Perez is not new to the system. She has navigated it her entire career. And decades later, in the final hours of his presidency, Donald Trump granted her a full pardon. Now the darker chapter. In 2023, ESPN published an investigation into how NFL coach John Gruden's private emails were leaked, a leak that ended his career and helped topple an NFL owner. According to that reporting, the operation ran through Reed Smith, with help from Desiree Perez, weaponizing leaked private communications to destroy a target. This was not an attorney serving a client. The reporting described Perez and Reed Smith functioning together, as a unit, in a reputation demolition. That is not gossip. ESPN documented it. So consider the playbook. Perez and Reed Smith have already been described in national reporting as a team that used leaked private messages to annihilate someone. And the firm filing the suits against Drake and Stake was built from Reed Smith's bloodline. Now look at those lawsuits again. What are they built on? Leaked DMs, leaked chat logs. Do you know that his DMs were leaked? Akademiks was asked. That what leaked appeared to be DMs between the person who runs that account and Drake. And it goes further. Reed Smith doesn't just represent Desiree personally. It represents Roc Nation, the company. Remember 2024, when Megan Thee Stallion was sued by a former cameraman, Emilio Garcia? Roc Nation's counsel in that case was Reed Smith. Megan's counsel was Quinn Emanuel. The same Quinn Emanuel you watched grill Akademiks in that deposition. The lawyers questioning him have worked right alongside Desiree's firm. So line it up. The lawyers who filed the Drake suits came out of Reed Smith. Reed Smith is bound to Desiree Perez and Roc Nation. Reed Smith has worked alongside the firm that deposed Akademiks. And Reed Smith, remember, is the very same firm named in the copyright takedowns hitting creators on Roc Nation's behalf. Somebody purporting to be from a law firm called Reed Smith issued a copyright takedown demand. Same name. Every corner of this story. Same name. But what does any of that have to do with the Virginia plaintiffs? Well, recall that nearly everyone in this class has a criminal record and a history of probation trouble. Which brings us to Roc Nation's nonprofit, Reform Alliance. Reform Alliance is a criminal justice organization co-founded by Jay-Z and Fanatics CEO Michael Rubin. Yes, the gambling man. And Desiree Perez sits on its board. The organization's entire mission is fighting the probation trap, the exact machine that kept several of our plaintiffs cycling through violations for years. And remember, some plaintiffs in this case appear to still be on probation. One of Reform Alliance's earliest targets was Virginia. In 2021, the organization pushed to rewrite Virginia's probation laws and won. A new law enabling early release for people trapped on probation took effect July 1st, 2021. Now remember Lashana Ridley and Pretty Ray. In December 2021, 5 months after that law activated, Lashana was released from probation early. Exactly 2 days later, so was Pretty Ray. The people suing Drake were freed by Virginia's probation system in the same year that Jay-Z and Desiree Perez's organization rewrote Virginia's probation laws. And it tightens. On October 18, 2024, Reform Alliance and Roc Nation staged a massive public job fair in Virginia, built to help formerly incarcerated people find work and clean up their criminal records. And who did Roc Nation bring in to run the legal services at that event? Reed Smith, the firm representing Desiree Perez, the firm representing Roc Nation. The firm Impressa's owners came from. Physically in the room, at Roc Nation's event, in Virginia, sitting across from formerly incarcerated people on probation. And we know they were there because Reform Alliance said so themselves. Their own website announced Reed Smith would be on hand to help with expungement, the legal process that wipes records from your criminal history entirely. And remember PR Newswire, the paid wire service Impressa used to trumpet the Drake lawsuit in the middle of his album rollout? I pulled Impressa's entire history on that platform. Out of every case that firm has ever handled, do you know how many times they used PR Newswire? Twice. Only twice. Both times to announce a lawsuit against Drake. One for Virginia, one for New Jersey. And who lives on PR Newswire? Who maintains a standing account for their biggest announcements? Roc Nation and Reform Alliance. Roc Nation pays that wire service constantly. Virtually everything Jay-Z does moves through it, including that exact Virginia job fair in October 2024. So here's the picture. A tiny firm that had never touched PR Newswire suddenly used the exact paid platform Roc Nation lives on to broadcast a national smear against Drake, using lawyers who came out of the exact firm Roc Nation uses, representing plaintiffs who benefited from Roc Nation's probation reforms, half of them relatives, in a gambling lawsuit that is somehow really about the authenticity of Drake's streams and executives getting their feelings hurt. Once again, I will leave this information with you. So lay out everything we've actually established. Reform Alliance keeps a database. They know exactly who they helped off probation in Virginia and who is still fighting to get off. Through job fairs and clinics, they know the intimate details of those people's lives. Reed Smith sat across from those very people at Roc Nation's Virginia event. Reed Smith's former partners built Impressa Legal Group, the firm that filed the suits. Reed Smith represents Desiree Perez personally and Roc Nation as a company. Quinn Emanuel has worked beside Reed Smith and was asking Akademiks about Drake, Stake, George, and crypto months before any lawsuit existed. Several plaintiffs exited probation in 2021, immediately after Reform Alliance rewrote Virginia's law. Others appear to still be on probation, presumably hoping it ends. Both Drake lawsuits were announced through PR Newswire, the only 2 times the filing firm has ever used it. Roc Nation uses it constantly, and the lawsuits themselves are written to benefit the regulated gambling industry and the music industry. The parties who win the most if Drake and Stake collapse are in gambling and in music. Jay-Z is in both, heavily. And remember, Drake is not the only target. In the very same window, Larry Jackson absorbed the same playbook. 2 men, 1 method, 1 timeline. Anonymous websites, bot armies, machine-written smears, and lawsuits carrying accusations that have nothing to do with their own stated purpose. One final time. This is a theory. All I did was gather publicly available information, connect it, and lay it in front of you. I cannot tell you who built this machine, but I think most of us can admit it at this point. There is something profoundly off about these lawsuits. Something coordinated. Something engineered. It is fishy beyond belief. The only real question left is the one nobody in the industry wants to say out loud. If this machine is real, and it has already touched Drake, Akademiks, and Larry Jackson, who does it touch next? Drop your theory in the comments. Do you think this is one hand moving every piece on the board, or 3 separate coincidences that just happened to rhyme perfectly? And if you believe the timing of the Iceman rollout and these lawsuits is random, tell me why. I read every single comment, and the best theories will be in my follow-up. Because the next chapter of this story is already unfolding. Larry Jackson's lawsuit to unmask the people behind those fake websites is moving through the courts right now. And when those names come out, everything changes. The whole board flips. I will be covering it the second it drops. So subscribe and turn on notifications, because you are going to want to be here when the names come out. And to everyone who has been with this channel from the beginning, thank you. The copyright claims, the takedown waves, the strikes, none of it has stopped this work, and none of it will. If anything, it told me I was standing close to something real. You do not get attacked this hard for being wrong. You get attacked this hard for being close. So keep your eyes open, keep asking the questions they do not want asked, and I will see you in the next one.